Well, welcome, Kirk and
Thank
Rob.
you.
Welcome to Toronto. Kirk, I mean, what drew you to, John Davidson, and like, why did you feel like now is the perfect time?
I was aware of his story since the 80s because there have been documentaries as he's grown up over the years. So I've seen him in his teens, in his 20s and 30s, 40s. And whenever I'd seen those little updates, I always thought this could make a really fascinating film. And I think it was because there's such an extraordinary mix of upset and tragedy, but also humor and hope, and it those elements fascinate me as a filmmaker or as a scriptwriter because they're just fun to work with, rather than working on a story which is very sort of plain and predictable. But I think, in particular, I was excited by the potential to write dialogue for someone who, at any one moment, the audience doesn't know what they're going to say. If you think of any other genre, romantic comedy or a period piece or a love story, within reason, you know what two people are going to say to each other. But I could see from the documentaries and also having met John that at any moment, anything could come out of his mouth. And from a dramatic point of view, and a comedic and an emotional and tragic point of view, you just think, wow, that's like going to be really exciting to work with, and just sit there and just come up with whatever you wanted to come up with. And then when I started working with Rob took it on to another level. Rob has spoken to a lot of people, listened to a lot of ticks as well, and he was happy for ticks to, well, and I was happy for him to do it, to just come out in a scene. And I think one of Rob's first questions to me was, you don't expect me to tick exactly what you've said, exactly where you've written it, do you? And I thought, no, of course I don't, because I had not really thought about that, to be honest, but I thought, no, because Tourette's is about, it just comes out of nowhere. No one knows what it's going to be. So when we started shooting scenes with Rob, and in particular with Peter Mullen, I think, Peter, a very experienced, incredible actor, just didn't know what was coming next. And I got a lot of pleasure out of watching that, and I suspect Rob got a lot of pleasure out of throwing this stuff at him. So it was really the dynamics of working with, um, you know, tragedy, comedy, humor, emotion, and the complete unknown, because that's what the condition is about. It's just completely and totally unknown and unpredictable. I think Rob spoke to someone early on who said the only thing that's predictable about Tourette's is the fact it's unpredictable. Paul did, yeah. Yeah, so I just saw like really great material. And my only fear was that I was going to connect with John, and John was going to say, actually, someone else has already signed away the film rights and stuff, but that wasn't the case.
Thank God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say then was like the most challenging part, like about directing, something like Tourette's? Like, what would you say, like, to keep it like authentic, but also, cinematic? Like, do you have a lot of challenges doing that?
Yeah, I mean, once I had the script, Robin and I talked a lot about the script. We didn't talk very much on set at all because I felt like he knew why the scene was there. I knew why the scene was there. I completely trusted Rob on the day to go with his own gut instinct with regards to when and how he would tick. Sometimes we'd have conversations about, do you think it's too much ticking? Do you think it's too less? Is it too forceful? Should it, so we'd have all those kind of conversations. But I never felt like I was really directing Rob to tick or to have Tourette's. That was his thing, and I'm too respectful as a director to start telling an actor when to do this and when to do that. So it's really about trust, and that's how it should be on any film. So I was just incredibly grateful that I'd found an actor who went so deep, who gave the preparation so much time and respect. So yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, Rob, how did I mean, Rob, how did you how did you get involved, and what was your first reaction when you read the script?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be a big challenge.
Yeah.
Really, it was, for me, it was a combination of the challenge, and the idea of the challenge of authenticity, and also, so that was alluring, and then also Waking Ned Divine, which is a movie that Kirk did. that I watched and was like, oh, this guy's cool. And so like those elements of things were great. But from the word go, it was a totally collaborative experience. From the word go, we had many. We had a lot of time before we started shooting, so we had many conversations about the script, constantly talking about Tourette's, and I had a lot of time to meet a lot of people and just as much as I could throw myself into the research of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you play like epic fantasy roles. Like, how does that differ from this role in particular?
Yeah, very different. It couldn't be more different. Different elements around it, and different challenges. Yeah, I mean, God, oil and water, isn't it? Very, very different. Yeah.
Well, okay, so then what would you say is like one lesson that you learned from playing John?
That's a good question. I think that when you're playing a role like this, it's like you have to, as an actor, you sort of you constantly want to surprise yourself from a place of relaxation. You know what I mean? And just the impulses and choices are just sort of coming to you, and that's when you're working on a scene. That's when it's really amazing. With this, because of the nature of it, there was a lot based in that, but also I think one of the biggest things that I learned about the film was that there is a total lack of education around Tourette's. There is a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about Tourette's that the movie seeks to at least engage you in thinking about. That hopefully then you can talk to your friends, talk to people who have Tourette's, and it leads to a sort of deeper conversation. So I learned a lot about that, and I hope people use this as a means to talking about it more.
Mm-hmm. Is there like any takeaway that you hope that the audience will take from this film?
Yeah, and after speaking to audiences who have already seen the film, especially in sort of the testing stage, I think we can be quite encouraged that people are finding the film to have an educational element. I mean, it's a film, it's a commercial project, it's funny. Hopefully, people enjoy it as a movie. But at the same time, there is without doubt, and this is something we all wanted, what was an educational thread that goes throughout the whole film. And I was fortunate enough to see a screening in London recently, and there was a test audience, and you had about 20 people stay behind and they talk about the film. And one person said, if I had seen someone like John on my way to the cinema this evening on the train, I would have moved carriages. If I go home and I saw them now, I'd engage with them, I'd smile at them, I'd be able to understand them.
That's amazing.
That was, and then other people saying, I'm going to go home and Google Tourette's now because I realised that it isn't what I thought it was, and that for that reason, in the different territories, we are adding a website, different territories for America or wherever. So that people can go on those sites and find out more about Tourette's and keep learning after the film's finished.
Oh, I love that. So if you can describe the film just in one word, what would you guys, one word for each of you?
Oh, it's always hard, isn't it? Rob's got his already, I can tell.
I don't have my word. I don't have my word. I'm hoping that I
fun one. It always gets stuff like me. It always stumbles.
I think it's so complex that it's not really possible to use one word.
Complex. That's a word. He said complex.
I look forward to the forthcoming election.
I think it's fair. Okay, so one last question just to wrap it up. So here we're all about going the extra mile. So how do each one of you guys go the extra mile? Like, what does that mean to you?
Ooh. You mean in life in general?
In life, and whatever it means to me in film. Like, how do you interpret it, essentially?
I love hard work.
Good.
I do. I love work. Mm-hmm. I love taking it seriously.
That's good attitude.
I love it. Like working on this film, for example, people like Simon Hayes, who was in charge of the sound, who worked so hard.
Yeah.
Like I think this, like there was so many hard workers
Mhm.
involved in this project on a sort of whether it was Rona and a Tourette's presence on the set, or like people who were actually involved in the filmmaking process. Everyone worked hard, and I think that is always inspiring and fun to be around. Passion and hard work.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. And for me, it's just like, whether it's me personally, or whether it's the crew, or whether it's what Rob did or his contribution on films, this sounds really boring as well. It's just never giving up. It's so easy to get so far and think, or to think, I've prepared for that scene and that'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll work itself out on the day. But it's never giving up until you are satisfied that you've done the most that you can possibly do, and that, by definition, means going the extra mile, because you don't stop until you get to that extra mile, basically.
That was a great answer. Well said.
And I look forward to the forthcoming elections.
Well, listen, thank you both, for your time. I'm excited for everyone to see the film tomorrow.
Thank you.
So.
Yes.